What are Manchester United doing? This season is fading. It's gone past the point of fading now. This is probably one of the worst weeks of the season. Defeat to Brighton, defeat to West Ham. Top 4 really is in question. Now, we had a buffer. We've got rid of that buffer in these last 2 games. That performance there, oh my word. Look, right, I've spoken about this before. If you can't see it now, you don't want to see it. You are blinded by the memories of David De Gea and him being the world's best shot stopper. That is a memory. That's in the past. David De Gea doesn't have that anymore. He is such a problem at this football club, and if you can't admit it, you can't face the facts. All right? I'm done with it. I think it was after the Sevilla game, I said, I can't be bothered to sit on the fence anymore. And I'm not sitting on the fence anymore over this. It's not just that individual moment of pure man. Like, how did he let that in? Soft shot, full hand, 0 excuses. And it was that moment there where the game flipped. Prior to that, Manchester United had total control and dominance. West Ham was sitting off of us. When we play against teams that don't press us, we control games better. We started with Casemiro, Eriksen and Bruno. Bruno on the left wing. I'll speak about that a little bit later in the match reaction. But it was that moment there. Before it, we had Rashford hit the post. Anthony hit the post. Bruno had a chance. We had like 3-4 clear chances. Eriksen had a chance. Our poor finishing let us down. But the reaction there from Ten Hag, the reaction there from Rashford. What do you think? Right? Because top 4, all right, top 4 is still technically in Manchester United's hands. We have 4 games left. Chelsea, Bournemouth, Fulham and Wolves. We win all 4. We finish in the top 4 this year. But who really is backing Manchester United to win these next 4 games? Genuinely. I know our home form is a very different kettle of fish, so I would be backing us to win those games at home. So what can we do away against Bournemouth? Well, what can we do away against Brighton? What can we do away against West Ham? What can we do in the second half against Spurs? Look at that. The last 4 games. You're like, Arsenal, you can see it there. When they drew 2 games, they threw away 2-goal lead at West Ham, threw away 2-goal lead at Liverpool, and they lost at City. That's where they lost control of that title race. And they're now chasing. Manchester United now, because of our lot of results in the last 4 games, we've lost that control. I'm saying that we haven't lost the control because I said we can win our next 4 games. But who's backing United to win these next 4 games, right? Are you really, really backing this United team to go now to beat Wolves on Saturday, I think it is. The following Saturday, it's Bournemouth. Then I think it's on the Thursday at Old Trafford. Then it's Fulham, the last game of the season. This may well now go down to the last game of the season. With Liverpool, they're winning. Liverpool have found form. And at the time when Manchester United needed to find that form the most, we are fading. Yes, we've played the most games out of any team in Europe's top 5 leagues this year. But that goes to show you how on a knife edge Manchester United's confidence is. Because that mistake from De Gea snapped the game in 2 for us. After that point, we had no control for the next, 65 minutes? It was West Ham dominating us. It wasn't even close. We had nothing. De nada. Zilch. We had not a sniff of a chance. Martial going through after a nice 1-2 with Rashford towards the end. That's about it. That's about all we had. And I think this De Gea situation now has become a Ronaldo V2. How Ten Hag managed Ronaldo, I think, was a really significant moment for his control of the club at that point in time. I think how he handles this De Gea situation is a real moment, a real line in the sand, a big, big moment in Ten Hag's tenure. He can't be our number 1 next year. That surely is an end of story. No, that surely is an end of story. Today, if I'm gonna criticize, I could criticize every single one of these United players, right? I've got a picture of Marcus Rashford there. It could have absolutely everybody apart from, I would say, Luke Shaw, who I think when it came to the fight that he had up front with Antonio, it was physical. Sometimes Antonio won it, sometimes Luke Shaw won it. but he was scrapping. He was actually up for it. Rashford there today, you saw it. And I can speak about Rashford, I can speak about everybody, all right? The fight wasn't there. They were not up for it. It's like if all these United players went into a Royal Rumble, they would just get chucked over the top rope. First, Rashford, he was playing like a frustrated Rashford. You know when he shot from like 35 yards, sort of flapping his arms in the air, nothing was coming off, every single ball was overhit. Oh, man. This is why we needed the buffer. This is why we needed the buffer this season. And I was going to say, right, Ten Hag, I think he made a mistake in starting Weghorst and shifting Bruno to the left, right? I understood the logic of it. We've seen Weghorst work in that role before. But because of that, Bruno wasn't involved in the game enough. And then, of course, when West Ham had that goal, and in that second half, they were just sitting deep. And they didn't need to. They were sitting deep, hitting on the counter. Of course, you're allowed to do that when you're 1-0 up. You've scored the goal. Now you defend it, and you hit on the counter. That's standard. But penny for Ten Hag's thoughts about this team. About this, look, at the crunch point of this season, we've done so much of the hard work. I say that, like, the running, the business end of the season is the hardest part of the season. And we are seeing that. We are seeing how differently this United team are playing when the pressure is getting it's cranked up a couple of notches. It's getting twisted. It's getting more difficult. And at these points, we don't have that extra energy. And that's where these games are really hurting Manchester United. I think Weghorst was an issue there today. Bruno started. Casemiro started. Eriksen started. By some margin, Declan Rice was the best midfielder on the pitch. I think he's really grown at West Ham. I think he'll be a good signing. Whoever does sign him, I don't think that will be United. I don't think we pay that amount of money for for the type of player he is. But I think he's got more. But he was man of the match. Paqueta was probably the second best midfielder on the pitch. That's the first time this season that Bruno, Casemiro and Eriksen have started and Man United have lost a game. And in that second half, we just had nothing. As I said, if I would criticise absolutely every single player on that pitch today for their approach to the game, for how they went into every 50-50 tackle, and it's the same, we've had these discussions before. It's boring. It's repetitive. Because it's symptomatic. And it's there. And it's a problem inside this squad. And that won't change until we've got a full squad of the right players. But I just can't believe what we saw there. Can I believe it? Yeah. Who am I kidding? Brighton, Villa, Liverpool, City, Spurs, Arsenal, West Ham, Man United away from home this season are an You know what the mad thing is we've got the 5th best away record in the league. But that's because we've been sweeping up with the wins away from home against the lower half of the table. Well, we've just given West Ham there. They needed that. It was a bad time to play West Ham. It was like their cup final, wasn't it? Because they knew that if they got 3 points, they were going to be out of the relegation conversation. And now they are. And they played like it was their cup final. We played like we've already won the cup final. And we've been doing this since Newcastle. I called it at the time, and it's only got worse since. That was the crescendo of our season. Beating Newcastle in the League Cup final. Something left this team at that point like that was the success of the season. And we can go, you know what? Fine, we're done. We're not done. But I am done with David De Gea as our number one. I really, really am. We should not be giving this man over 200 grand a week to not be our first choice goalkeeper. I think Manchester United should be letting him go for free. I'm finished with it now. I know there's going to be a lot of people here that are hurt by those comments, but I say things how I see them. And the truth is that there today, that mistake from De Gea, totally unwarranted. That there snapped the game in two. You can draw a line in that. How United played before that goal went in, how United played after that goal went in. Should that have caused United to just be crap for the rest of the game? Absolutely not. But that's because this team is weak. It's because this team is weak up there. And we've seen that in these last 4 games. Top 4 is still in our hands. As I said, if we win our last 4 games, we are going to get top 4. But you really backing United to win the next 4 games after what we've seen this week? I'm not sure you can.